Welcome back to Drowseworthy. We are leaving the humid banks of the Nile River behind us tonight. We are leaving the fog of Victorian London and the stone cells of the monastery. We are traveling to a place of immense, overwhelming silence. A place where the sky is so big it swallows the earth. We are going to the American West. The year is 1880. But this is not the Wild West of the movies. There are no gunfights at high noon. There are no saloon brawls. There are no bank robberies. There is only the trail. There is only the dust. There is only the slow, rhythmic movement of cattle walking north, one step at a time, for 1,000 miles. This is a story about the lonely life of the cowboy, a life of routine, a life of quiet, a life lived entirely under the open sky. So, prepare yourself for the journey. Dim the lights in your room until it is as dark as a prairie night. Adjust your pillows. Imagine you are unrolling your soojin, your heavy wool quilt on the flat, hard earth. Let your shoulders drop. Let the tension of the city fade away. There are no fences here. There are no walls. There is only the horizon. You are safe. You are grounded. You are ready to sleep. Let us begin. The time is 3:30 in the morning. It is pitch black. The sun is still hours away from the eastern edge of the world. The air is cold, surprisingly cold. The high plains of Texas hold no heat once the sun goes down. The cold settles in the hollows of the ground, pressing against the canvas of the wagon. You are asleep on the ground. You are wrapped in a bedroll. This is not a sleeping bag. It is a tarp made of heavy, waterproofed canvas, wrapped around thick wool blankets. It is stiff. It smells of oil and dust, but inside it is warm. You are cocooned in your own body heat. The ground beneath you is hard, but you have dug a small hollow for your hip, a hip hole, so you can lie on your side. It is the most comfortable bed you know. Listen to the silence. It is not the silence of an empty room. It is the silence of a vast space. You can hear the wind moving through the short buffalo grass. Swish, swish. It is a dry, whispering sound. You can hear the breathing of the men sleeping near you. Slow, rhythmic, heavy. You can hear the distant, restless movement of the herd. 2,000 cattle sleeping or chewing their cud a few hundred yards away. Occasionally, a cow-size hoo-woo, or a horn clicks against another horn. Clack. These are the sounds of safety. If the herd is quiet, the world is right. But the silence is about to be broken, not by a bugle, not by a shout, by the sound of a coffee grinder. The cook is awake. Cookie, the king of the camp. He is up before anyone else. He has crawled out of his bed under the wagon. He is lighting the fire. Listen to the process. He scrapes a lucifer match against the iron wheel of the chuckwagon scritch. Flare. He lights the lantern. A soft, yellow glow blooms in the darkness. He builds the fire. He uses dried mesquite roots or cow chips' dried dung that burns hot and odorless. He feeds the tinder. The flame catches, crackle, pop. The fire grows. It pushes back the dark. It creates a small sphere of orange light in the infinite black ocean of the prairie. Now, the coffee. This is the most important ritual of the day. Arbacle's coffee. It comes in a 1-pound paper sack with a signature of the owner on the side. The beans are roasted and coated in a glaze of egg white and sugar to seal in the flavor. The cook pours the beans into the grinder mounted on the side of the wagon box. He turns the iron handle. grind, crunch, grind, crunch. It is a loud, mechanical sound. It vibrates through the wagon wood. It is the alarm clock of the trail. The men in their bedrolls hear it. They stir. They groan softly, but they do not get up yet. They wait for the boil. The cook pours the grounds into a massive, battered pot. The Generici. He pours in water from the barrel. He sets it on the iron grate over the fire. He waits. The water heats up. It begins to bubble. The smell hits the air. Imagine that smell. Dark, strong, bitter. It cuts through the cold morning air. It smells of civilization. It smells of wakefulness. It drifts over the sleeping cowboys. One by one, they sit up. They look like ghosts rising from the earth. There is no talking. Cowboys are not morning people, and on the trail, words are scarce. You sit up in your bedroll. The cold air hits your face. It wakes you up instantly. You reach for your boots. You always sleep with your boots inside your bedroll, or right next to your head under the tarp. You don't want a rattlesnake crawling into them for warmth. You shake them out. Thump thump. You pull them on. The leather is cold and stiff. You stomp your heel to settle your foot. You stand up. You wrap your coat tight around you. You walk to the fire. It is the center of gravity. The men are standing around it, holding tin cups. The cook pours the coffee. It is black as tar. It is hot enough to scald. You take the cup. The tin is hot against your gloved hands. You blow on the steam. You take a sip. It burns your tongue, but the warmth spreads down your throat, into your chest. It wakes up your blood. You look around the circle of faces, illuminated by the firelight. Weather-beaten, unshaven, eyes shadowed by the brims of their hats. They are just standing there, drinking, staring into the flames. It is a moment of communion, before the work, before the dust, before the heat, just the fire and the coffee. Let us expand our view now. Look up. The stars are fading. The eastern horizon is turning a deep, bruised purple. The morning star Venus is hanging bright and low. The sky is so big, it feels like a dome. You are a tiny speck on a flat plate. There are no trees to block the view, no mountains, just 360 degrees of horizon. It makes you feel small, but in a good way. Your problems feel small too. Out here, the only thing that matters is the grass and the water. Now, the sound of bells. Jingle, clank, jingle. The remuda is coming in. The remuda is the herd of saddle horses. Each cowboy has a string of 6 to 10 horses. There are about 150 horses in total. The horse wrangler, usually a young boy or an old man, has been watching them all night. He is driving them toward the camp. He uses 2 ropes to make a corral against the side of the wagon. The horses trot in. Listen to the sound of 100 horses moving in the dark. The thudding of hooves on the sod. Thud, dash, thud, dash, thud. The snorting, huff, snort. The smell of horsehair and sweat arrives with them. It is a warm, musky, organic smell. The men finish their coffee. They toss the dregs into the fire. Hiss. They walk to the rope corral. It is time to catch a mount. This is a delicate dance. You don't want to spook the horses. You take your lariator rope. You make a small loop. You walk slowly toward the milling mass of horseflesh. You are looking for a specific horse, maybe Old Blue or Dunny. You see his ears in the gloom. You toss the loop, a gentle underhand toss. It settles over the horse's head. He stops. He knows the game. You lead him out of the bunch. He stands quietly while you saddle him. Listen to the sounds of saddling. The heavy thump of the saddle blanket landing on his back. You smooth it out carefully. No wrinkles. A wrinkle means a saddle sore. The heave of the saddle. 40 pounds of leather and wood. You swing it up. The stirrups clatter against his side. You reach under his belly for the cinch. You pull it tight. The leather creaks. Creak. Grun. The horse grunts. He expands his chest, trying to keep the cinch loose. You know his trick. You wait. He exhales. You pull it tighter. He is ready. You mount up. The leather seat is cold. The horse is fresh. He might hump his back a little. He dances sideways. But you check him. You are high up now, above the brush. The day has officially begun. The herd is waking up. Cattle are creatures of habit. They wake up one by one. They stretch. They stand up. Knock 'em up, the boss says. You ride slowly through the herd. Hey-ya. Up you get. You speak softly. You don't want to startle them. A startled herd runs. A stampede is the nightmare. So you move slow. Like you are moving through molasses. The cattle rise. 2,000 beasts. They are longhorns. Look at them. They are lean, bony, and wild. Their horns are massive, curved twists of bone that can span 6 feet. They click together as the animals move. Clack, rattle. They smell of grass and milk. The herd begins to move, not because you are forcing them, but because they are hungry. They graze their way north. This is the secret of the trail drive. You don't drive them, you let them drift. If you push them, they lose weight. Weight is money, so you let them walk, step by step, nose down in the grass, rip, chew, step, rip, chew, step. It is a pace of about 1 mile per hour, slower than a human walks. Imagine the patience required. To sit on a horse, moving at 1 mile per hour for 12 hours a day, for 3 months. It is a test of stillness. You sit deep in the saddle. You relax your body. You let the horse do the walking. You watch the horizon. You watch the ears of the cattle. You watch the dust rising. Let us focus on the dust. As the sun comes up, the dust becomes visible. It is a fine, golden powder kicked up by 8,000 hooves. It hangs in the air. It settles on everything. It settles on your hat. It settles on your mustache. It settles in the creases of your shirt. You tie a bandana, wild rag over your nose and mouth. It is silk. Why silk? Because it breathes, but it filters the dust. You breathe through the silk. In, out. The air tastes of grit, but it is a clean grit. It is just earth. The sun breaks the horizon. Suddenly, the world goes from grey to gold. The light hits the tips of the horns, a sea of shining bone. The light hits the back of your horse. His coat gleams. The warmth hits your back. It feels good after the freezing night. You unbutton your coat. You tip your hat brim down to shade your eyes. The long shadow of your horse stretches out in front of you across the grass. You are moving north, toward the Red River, toward the Indian Territory, toward Kansas. But Kansas is 1,000,000 miles away. There is only today. There is only this mile. There is only this step. Let us engage the senses. The lever. Your world is made of leather. The saddle, the reins, the chaps on your legs, the boots on your feet, the gloves on your hands. Leather is a living material. It creaks, it stretches, it smells rich and tanned. When it gets warm, it smells sweet. Rub your thumb over the leather of the reins in your mind. Smooth, warm, oiled. It is a texture of control, a texture of connection. The sagebrush. As the sun heats the ground, the smell of sage rises. It is sharp, peppery, herbal. It clears the sinuses. It is the smell of the West. If you crush a leaf between your fingers, the oil stays on your skin for hours. The space. Try to visualize the emptiness. No telephone poles, no roads, no houses, no aeroplane trails, just grass, blue grama grass, buffalo grass. It waves in the wind like an ocean, green in the spring, gold in the summer. It goes on forever. It absorbs sound. If you shout, the sound just disappears. It doesn't echo. This is why cowboys are quiet. The land swallows the noise. So you stop trying to make noise. You just listen. You listen to the rhythm of the march. Step, step, step. The cattle are strung out in a long line. The string, it can be 1 mile long. The lead steers. The pointers are out front. They know the way. They are proud animals. They always take the lead. You ride point alongside them. You guide them gently, just a nudge of the horse. You are the navigator of a living ship. The swing riders are further back, keeping the line straight. The flank riders are near the rear, and at the very back, in the dustiest, hottest spot, are the drag riders. They push the slow ones, the lame ones, the lazy ones. Get along, little dogies. But mostly, it is silent. Just the creak of saddle leather. Creaker, creaker. It is a lullaby, the rocking motion of the horse. It lulls you. Your eyes get heavy. You learned to sleep in the saddle. Just a doze. A catnap. Your body knows the balance. You don't fall off. You just drift. Drift with the herd. Drift with the cloud shadows passing over the grass. Look at the clouds. Great white cumulus towers building in the west. They look like castles, like mountains of whipped cream. They float across the blue dome, slowly. Everything is slow. The sun moves slow. The cows move slow. Your thoughts move slow. There is no rush. You can't hurry a cow. If you hurry, you lose money. So you practice patience. You become a master of waiting. Waiting for the next river crossing. Waiting for the next meal. Waiting for the stars. Let us think about the hat, the Stetson, the boss of the plains. It is made of beaver felt, thick and dense. It is your roof. It keeps the sun off your face. It keeps the rain off your neck. It is your water bucket for your horse. It is your fan for the fire. It is your pillow. When you pull it down tight, you are in your own private room. Under the brim, the world is shaded. You look out at the bright world from the safety of the shade. It focuses your view. You watch the ears of your horse. They twitch back and forth. He is listening too. He is your partner. You spend more time with him than with any human. You know his moods. He knows yours. If you are calm, he is calm. So you stay calm. You breathe deep. In, out. You let your shoulders drop. You let your legs hang long in the stirrups. You are not gripping. You are balanced. Riding is not effort. It is just sitting. Sitting on a moving chair. The morning wears on. The sun gets higher. The shadows get shorter. The heat builds. But it is a dry heat. It doesn't suffocate you. It bakes you gently. The crickets start to sing in the grass. Chirp, chirp, chirp. A meadowlark calls from a fence post, if there were fence posts. Whistle o or wee. A clear, flute-like sound. It pierces the silence. And then it is gone. Back to the rhythm. Step, step, step. The herd is a single organism. A river of brown and white hides flowing north. You are the banks of the river, keeping it on course. You don't have to do much. Just be there. Just be present. There are no notifications, no emails, no news. There is only the trail. The trail is a physical thing, a wide, beaten path where millions of hooves have gone before. The Chisholm Trail, the goodnight-loving trail. The dirt is pulverized into a fine flour. You are following the ghosts of other herds. You are part of a long line of history. It feels good to be part of a line, to know where you are going. North, always north. The compass in your head is set. You don't have to make decisions. You just have to ride. Ride and breathe. Ride and breathe. Let the monotony wash over you. Boredom is a luxury. Boredom means safety. Excitement means a stampede. Excitement means a river flood. Excitement means a storm. You want boring? You pray for boring. You want a day exactly like yesterday, and exactly like tomorrow. A chain of perfect, quiet days, linked together by the stars. Let yourself sink into that boredom. It is soft. It is warm. It is comfortable. It is like the wool of your bedroll. Wrap it around you. The day is simple. The work is simple. The sleep is simple. You are a cowboy. You are free. You are alone. But you are not lonely. You have the sky. You have the horse. You have the herd. You have the silence. Let the silence fill you up. Let it quiet the noise in your head. There is no room for noise on the prairie. Only the wind. Swish. Swish. Only the breath. In, out. Only the step. Clop, clop. Drift on the saddle. Drift on the sea of grass. The morning is long. The day is long. But you have time. All the time in the world. Just ride. Just ride. Sleep. The noonday heat and the chuckwagon. We have ridden through the cool morning, watching the sun climb higher and higher into the vast, pale blue dome of the sky, burning away the last remnants of the dawn chill. The shadows that stretched long and thin across the grass at dawn have slowly retreated, shrinking back toward the objects that cast them, hiding beneath the bellies of the horses. Now the sun is directly overhead, a blazing white disk that rules the center of the sky. It is high noon. the nooning hour. The world has changed from a place of movement and golden light to a place of stillness and white heat. The horizon seems to expand, pushing the edges of the world further away. The herd has stopped moving. The cattle know the rhythm of the day better than we do. They know it is time to conserve energy and rest. They do not graze now. They find a spot of ground, perhaps near a dry wash or a solitary cottonwood tree, and they lie down one by one. 2,000 heavy bodies settle into the grass with a collective sigh, folding their front legs under them, then lowering their heavy hindquarters to the earth. They begin to chew their cud. Chomp, chomp, slide. It is a slow side-to-side motion of the jaw that engages the muscles of the neck. It is a hypnotic sound, a rhythmic grinding that signifies total contentment and a lack of urgency. The herd has become a lake of resting brown and white hides. The heat is intense, but it is not a humid, suffocating heat. It is a dry, baking heat that seems to press the silence deeper into the earth. Look at the horizon. The air is shimmering. Heat waves rise from the ground, distorting the distance like a funhouse mirror. The far-off hills look like they are floating on water, a mirage created by the temperature difference between the baking earth and the cooler air above. It creates a dreamlike quality to the vision. Nothing is sharp. Everything is fluid and wavering, dissolving the certainty of the landscape. We turn our horses toward the one landmark in this ocean of grass, the chuckwagon. It has moved ahead of us during the morning, the cook driving the team of mules to find a flat spot for the midday break. It stands there, a white canvas island in the green sea, the hub of our wheel, the center of our universe. The chuckwagon is more than just a vehicle. It is the heart of the outfit, the home, the kitchen, the bank, and the hospital. It is a masterpiece of Victorian practicality, invented by Charles Goodnight to survive the emptiness of the plains without needing to resupply. Let us look at it closely as we approach. It is a sturdy Studebaker wagon, built of seasoned hickory and oak to withstand the rough terrain. The wood has been cured for years so it won't shrink in the dry air or swell in the rain. It is painted a dull green or blue, but the paint is faded by the sun. The wheels are massive, rimmed with iron tires that crunch softly on the dry sod as we ride up. Crunch pop. These wheels are works of art. The spokes are made of straight-grain hickory, dished outwards to absorb the shock of the trail ruts. At the back of the wagon is the chuck box, a cabinet with drawers and shelves that folds down to form a work table. This is the cook's domain. It is a miracle of organization. Every spice, every knife, every tin plate has a specific slot lined with felt or leather. The fly, a canvas awning, has been set up, stretching out from the back of the wagon to create a patch of precious shade. The poles are set, the ropes are taut, and the canvas snaps gently in the hot breeze. Snap, ... flap. We dismount. Our legs are stiff from 6 hours in the saddle. We walk with that peculiar, rolling gait of men who spend their lives on horseback. We loosen the cinches on our horses to let them breathe, allowing the rib cage to expand, but we do not unsaddle them. The break is only for an hour or two. The horses stand with their heads low, resting a back leg, their eyes half closed, grateful for the pause in the work. They switch their tails lazily to ward off the flies, the hair making a soft swish sound against their flanks. We walk into the shade of the fly. The temperature drops 10 degrees instantly. It feels like entering a cool cavern. The smell of the camp is specific and comforting. It smells of wood smoke, coffee, sourdough, and leather. Let us focus on the sourdough. This is the lifeblood of the cowboy, the daily bread that fuels the drive. In a wooden keg or a crock jar nestled in the back of the wagon, safe from the dust, lives the starter. It is a living culture of yeast and flour, a bubbling, fermenting paste that has traveled 1,000 miles in the back of the wagon. Some cooks have kept the same starter alive for years, feeding it flour and water every day like a demanding pet. It has a sharp, tangy smell, a smell of fermentation and life that cuts through the sterile dust of the plains. The cook has been busy while we rode. He has mixed the dough in a large tin pan, his hands covered in white flour. He let it rise in the heat of the sun, the yeast expanding the dough until it was light and airy. He baked the biscuits in Dutch ovens, heavy Castrian pots with tight-fitting flanged lids. He places the pot directly on the coals of the fire and then shovels more hot coals onto the lid to create an even heat. This creates an oven effect, heat coming from the top and the bottom, baking the bread evenly without burning the bottom. The result is a batch of biscuits that are golden brown on top, soft and white inside, with a thick, crunchy crust. We take a tin plate from the rec pan, the dishwashing tub. The tin is battered, scarred by thousands of knife cuts from previous meals. We line up at the pot. The food is simple. It is always simple. There is no refrigeration, so everything is dried, salted, or alive. Beans, pecos, strawberries, they call them. Red beans or pinto beans, carried in 100-pound sacks in the wagon bed. The cook picked through them last night by lantern light, removing the small stones and dirt clods. He soaked them overnight in the water bucket, letting them swell and soften. He cooked them for hours over the fire with salt pork and molasses until they are thick, savory, and tender. Bacon or salt pork, fried in a heavy skillet until the fat is rendered and the meat is crisp and salty. And the biscuits, we take 2 or 3, hot from the iron pot, burning our fingers slightly. We pour a ladle of sop gravy made from the bacon grease and flour over the biscuits, softening the crust. And of course, the coffee. Always the coffee. Thick, black, and hot, regardless of the temperature outside. The cowboys believe that hot coffee cools you down by making you sweat. It is the fuel of the West. There are no tables. There are no chairs. We sit on the ground, finding a spot where the grass is thick. We sit cross-legged, Indian style, or we lean back against the spokes of the wagon wheel, using the wood as a backrest. We hold the plate close to our chin to minimize the distance the food has to travel, saving it from the blowing dust. We eat in silence. This is the etiquette of the range. You don't talk while you eat. You eat to fuel the machine. The only sounds are the scraping of spoons on tin and the chewing of hungry men. Scrape, ... clink, chew. It is a meditative act. You focus entirely on the taste and the texture of the food. The beans are soft and earthy. The biscuit is tangy and dense. The bacon is salty and rich. It is the best meal you have ever tasted, because you have earned it with 6 hours of riding and fresh air. After the food is gone, we drop our plates in the rec pan. The cook will wash them later. We are free. Now comes the best part of the nooning, the quietest part of the day. The nap for the next 45 minutes. There is nothing to do. The cattle are sleeping. The horses are resting. The boss is resting. You find a spot of shade, maybe under the wagon itself, crawling between the wheels. The ground is cool there, shaded by the wood of the wagon bed, damped from the water barrel dripping nearby. You lie down on the grass. You unroll your slicker raincoat to lie on, or just lie on the earth. You take off your hat, the heavy Stetson that has pressed against your forehead all morning. You place it over your face. This is the cowboy's do not disturb sign. It signals to the world that you are off duty. Inside the hat, it is dark. The smell of the beaver felt and the leather sweatband is familiar and comforting. It smells of your own work. It smells of rain and sun and horse. It is a private room. You close your eyes. You listen to the sounds of the midday camp. The wind has died down. The heat has killed the breeze. The air is still and heavy. You hear the buzzing of a fly. Bee-zee-zee-zee-zee-zee-zee. It circles in the hot air. It lands on your sleeve. It flies off. It is a lazy, droning sound. The soundtrack of summer, the sound of heat. You hear the mule swish his tail to swat a fly. Swish thwack. You hear the cook scrubbing a pot with sand from the creek bed. A low, rhythmic scouring sound. Scrub, scrub. You hear the coals of the fire settling as they turn to white ash. Click, shift. Your body begins to relax. The stiffness in your back from the saddle begins to melt into the ground. The earth supports you. It is solid. It is vast. It holds you up without effort. You are a tiny speck on the belly of the world, spinning slowly through space. Let us think about the water barrel attached to the side of the wagon. It is strapped to the side with iron bands. An oak barrel that holds 40 gallons of precious liquid. This water might have come from a muddy river, or a clear spring, or a rain puddle days ago. But in the barrel, it settles. The sediment sinks to the bottom. The wood flavors the water. There is a tin dipper hanging on a nail next to the barrel, swinging slightly. Imagine standing up and walking to the barrel. You are thirsty. A deep, cellular thirst from the dry air, the dust, and the salt pork. You take the dipper. You open the wooden lid. The water looks black and cool inside the wood. You dip it in, splash. The sound echoes in the barrel. You bring it to your lips. The water is not ice cold. It is cool. The temperature of the shade. It tastes of wet wood and minerals. It tastes of the earth. It tastes of survival. You drink deep. Gulp. Gulp. It flows down your throat, hydrating you, cooling you from the inside out. You feel the liquid entering your stomach. It is the most refreshing thing in the world. You pour the last few drops into the dust. Splat. It turns the grey dust into dark mud for a second. You hang the dipper back on the nail. Clink. You go back to your spot in the shade. You lie down again. The sun is relentless. It beats down on the canvas of the wagon fly, making it glow with a bright, diffuse white light. But you are safe in the shadow. You are protected from the glare. Let your mind drift to the wheel. You are lying next to the rear wheel of the wagon. It is a masterpiece of engineering. Look at the spokes. Hickory wood, turned on a lathe in Indiana. They radiate from the hub to the rim like the rays of a wooden sun. They are dusty. The grain of the wood is filled with the fine powder of the trail. Look at the iron tire. It is polished silver on the edge where it meets the ground. That steel has rolled over rocks, sand, mud, and grass for 1,000 miles. It is a circle. It has no beginning and no end. It just rolls. Mile after mile. Day after day. Your life is like that wheel. A cycle of waking and sleeping, riding and resting, eating and moving, round and round. There is comfort in the circle. You don't have to reinvent the day. You just have to roll through it. Think about the possum belly. This is the coonies or the hammock made of cowhide that hangs underneath the wagon bed. It is used to carry firewood. On the plains, wood is scarce. You can go days without seeing a tree. So every time you pass a bush or a drift of wood in a creek bed, the cook yells at you to pick it up. You toss it in the possum belly. It is a larder of fuel. It holds dried mesquite roots, twisted cedar branches, and dried cow chips. It smells of dry wood and earth. Looking at it reminds you of the preparedness of the outfit. You have everything you need. You have food in the box, water in the barrel, wood in the belly, bedding in the wagon. You are a self-sufficient city on wheels. You don't need the outside world. You don't need shops. You don't need banks. You are an island moving through the grass. Drift on that feeling of independence. You are not tethered to a desk. You are not tethered to a phone. You are tethered only to the grass and the water. The nap deepens. You are in the twilight state between waking and sleeping. The voices of the other cowboys are a low murmur. They are telling stories, windies, tall tales about storms, or horses, or girls in Dodge City. I knew a fella in Abilene who could ride a buffalo. The voices are soft. No one argues. It is too hot to argue. It takes too much energy. The words float in the air like smoke. You don't listen to the meaning. You just listen to the tone. The slow, drawling cadence of the Texas tongue. It is a soothing rhythm, like a slow river flowing over rocks. The heat presses down. It feels like a heavy, warm blanket covering the whole world. It weighs down your eyelids. It weighs down your limbs. Your breathing slows down to match the heat. In, slow. Out, slow. You are conserving energy. You are storing up strength for the afternoon ride. Think about the cattle again. 2,000 animals lying in the grass 100 yards away. They are chewing the cud. This is a process of digestion, but it looks like meditation. Their eyes are glazed. Their jaws move rhythmically. Left, right, left, right. They are turning grass into beef. It is a slow alchemy. They are completely at peace. They are not worried about the slaughterhouse. They are not worried about the river crossing. They are just here, in the sun. Be like the cow. Just be here. Digest the morning. Let it settle. There is nothing to do for another 20 minutes. That is an eternity in modern time. But here, it is just a moment. 20 minutes of pure nothing. Savor it. Feel the sweat drying on your forehead in the dry air. It cools you. Feel the hat resting on your face, blocking out the light. Feel the ground pushing up against your back, supporting your spine. The earth is rotating. If you lie very still, can you feel it? Can you feel the slow, majestic turn of the planet? Maybe not, but you can imagine it. Turning away from the sun, moving toward the night. Even at noon, you are moving toward the night. The night is coming. The cool is coming. The stars are coming. But for now, embrace the heat. Let it bake the aches out of your joints. Let it burn away the busy thoughts. The sun is a purifying fire. You are clean. You are dry. You are rested. Think about the cook. He is the only one working, but he works slowly. He is putting the pots away. Clank. He is wiping down the table of the chuck box. Swish. He moves with economy. He never takes an unnecessary step. He is the guardian of the camp. He will drive the wagon to the next spot while you ride. He is the mother and the father of the outfit. Knowing he is there makes you feel safe. You drift deeper. The yellow light inside your eyelids turns to orange. The sound of the fly buzzing fades away. The sound of the horses stamping fades away. You are floating in the heat, weightless, timeless, warm. Suddenly, a sound breaks the spell. The cook bangs a spoon against the coffee pot. Clang, 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 clang. The signal, the nooning is over. It is time to move, but do not rush. The transition is slow. The cowboys sit up slowly. They push their hats back on their heads. They blink in the bright light. They stretch, groan. They stand up, brushing the grass and dust from their canvas pants. They walk to the water barrel for one last drink. They walk to the horses. The horses are dozing too. They wake up with a start. You tighten the cinch again. The horses exhale during his rest. There is slack. You pull it tight. The leather creaks. You mount up. The saddle is hot now. The leather burns your leg through your pants. But you settle in. You turn the horse toward the herd. The boss gives the signal. Head 'em up. Move 'em out. The cattle stand up slowly, front knees first, then the back. They stretch their necks. They start to walk. The dust rises again, a golden cloud. The long afternoon drive begins, but you are refreshed. You have touched the earth. You have tasted the sourdough. You have paused the world. Now you can ride. Ride into the shimmering heat. Ride toward the mirage. Ride toward the sleep that waits at the end of the trail. Just ride. Ride. The thunderstorm and the night watch. The long, hot afternoon finally begins to bleed away, dissolving slowly into the deep bruised purples of the western sky. We have ridden through the furnace of the day, head down, eyes squinting against the relentless glare of the sun on the golden grass. But now the air is changing. The dry, baking heat of the nooning hour is being replaced by something heavier, thicker, and more charged. The wind has shifted. It is no longer the gentle, drying breeze blowing up from the south, smelling of Mexico and dust. It is a cool, damp draft pushing down from the north, carrying the scent of distant rain and cold upper atmospheres. Look at the horizon. The white castles of cumulus clouds that floated harmlessly all day are transforming before your eyes. They are growing taller, darker, swelling into massive anvils of grey and black that tower 40,000 feet into the atmosphere. They look like mountains of bruised iron, solid and heavy, blotting out the late afternoon sun and casting a premature, eerie twilight over the plains. The edges of the clouds are sharp and defined, glowing with a strange, backlit gold where the dying sun tries to push through. The silence of the prairie deepens. The crickets have stopped chirping, the meadowlarks have gone to ground in the brush, and even the flies have ceased their buzzing. This is the calm before, a stillness so profound that you can hear the creak of your own saddle leather and the blood rushing in your ears. It is a vacuum of sound, waiting to be filled by the roar of the weather. The cattle sense it first. They stop grazing and lift their heads, sniffing the air with wet noses, smelling the ozone carried on the wind. The ozone smell is sharp and metallic, like a spark from a grinding wheel, a scent of electricity that tickles the back of the throat and tastes like copper. It is the smell of the atmosphere tearing itself apart and knitting itself back together. The horses are twitching their ears, swiveling them back and forth to catch sounds that human ears cannot hear, vibrations in the earth. Your horse dances sideways, stepping high, his skin shivering across his shoulders as if trying to shake off an invisible fly. He feels the static electricity building up in the air. The charge is rising from the ground, reaching up to meet the charge coming down from the clouds. You can feel it too. The hair on your arm stands up, and if you touch the metal horn of your saddle, you might feel a tiny snap. A spark jumps from your finger to the steel, a blue microbolt of lightning right in your hand. It is time to prepare. The boss rides back down the line, his face shadowed by his hat, giving quiet, urgent orders to the crew. Tighten up the herd. Push him together. We're in for a blower. Don't let him spread out. You ride to the flanks, pushing the stragglers in, molding the long string of cattle into a compact, round mass on the bedding ground. You whistle softly, a low, soothing sound, to let the cows know you are there, to keep them moving toward the center. The goal is to get them bedded down before the storm hits, to get them calm and chewing their cud so they won't run at the first crack of thunder. We reach the bedding ground, a wide, flat saucer of prairie surrounded by low hills that might break the worst of the wind. The sun is gone now, swallowed completely by the advancing wall of cloud. The light is a strange, eerie green-grey. It is the color of old bruisers or deep ocean water, a submarine light that makes the grass look unnaturally bright. You reach behind your saddle and untie your slicker, the most important piece of gear for the night ahead, rolled tight in leather thongs. It is a fish brand slicker, a famous piece of cowboy engineering made of heavy canvas, coated in multiple layers of linseed oil. It is stiff and yellow. When you unroll it, it makes a loud crackling sound in the quiet air, like stepping on dry leaves. Crackle, snap. It is sticky to the touch in the heat, but now, in the cooling air, it becomes a rigid shell. You pull it on over your coat. It covers you from your chin to your boots, a fortress of oilskin against the coming weather. It smells of oil and rain, a smell that every cowboy associates with misery and comfort in equal measure, the smell of a dry shelter in a wet world. You button it up. The buttons are metal or bone, cold against your fingers as you fumble with them in the fading light. You fasten the storm flap over the front. You pull the collar up high around your neck. You are ready. You are a yellow ghost in the twilight. You are waterproof. You are windproof. The first drop falls. Splat. It hits the brim of your stiff Stetson hat like a bullet. A single, heavy, cold drop that vibrates the felt. Then another. Splat. On the shoulder of your slicker. It rolls off instantly, leaving a dark streak on the yellow canvas. Then silence again. The storm is teasing you, waiting for the herd to settle, waiting for the dark. And then the sky tears open. A flash of white light blinds you for a second, illuminating every blade of grass, every horn, every wire of the horse's mane in perfect detail. Flash. The world turns into a high-contrast black and white photograph for a split second, burning the image into your retina. Count the seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. Boom. The thunder rolls across the plains. It is not a sharp crack, but a deep bowling ball rumble that vibrates in your chest and shakes the ground. It sounds like giant furniture being moved in an empty room upstairs, dragging across the floorboards of the sky, echoing off the distant hills. The cattle flinch. A ripple of movement goes through the herd, like wind moving over a field of wheat. 2,000 heads toss up. 4,000 ears twitch. They are nervous. They are ready to run. Their eyes are wide, showing the whites, looking for the danger. You'll ride slowly around the edge of the herd, singing. This is the night watch, and tonight you are singing for their lives. You are the only thing standing between order and chaos. You don't need a good voice. The cattle don't care about pitch or tone, they care about presence. They need to know that a human is there, that the predator is kept at bay, that there is order in the chaos of the storm. You hum a low, mournful tune. The streets of Laredo, bury me not on the lone prairie, or just a hymnal tune you remember from childhood. Ooh, The vibration of your chest resonates against the saddle horn. The sound of the human voice is a tether. It holds the animals in place, creating an invisible fence of sound that they are reluctant to cross. The rain begins in earnest now, a curtain of water sweeping across the land, obscuring the hills, erasing the horizon. It hits your slicker with a sound like bacon frying in a hot pan. Hiss she hiss. It runs off the brim of your hat in a steady stream, a waterfall in front of your face that blurs your vision. The water pools in the brim of your hat. You have to tilt your head every few minutes to dump it out. Splash. Your hands are wet, your reins are slippery leather. Your leather chaps are soaked black and heavy with water. But inside the slicker, you are dry, you are warm. You are a self-contained unit of heat, separated from the storm by a layer of canvas and oil. The horse lowers his head against the rain, turning his tail to the wind to protect his eyes and ears. He knows his job. He keeps walking, a slow, steady plod through the mud that is forming underfoot. Squelch, squelch. The lightning comes faster now. Flash, boom. Flash, boom. The gap between light and sound is closing. The thunder is almost continuous, a rolling barrage of sound that drowns out your singing. You see the herd in stove-like glimpses, a sea of wet backs, shining black and brown in the rain, slick as seals. Their eyes reflect the lightning, thousands of glowing green orbs turning toward you, watching the rider, looking for reassurance. You keep riding, around and around, the circle, keeping them turning inward. If a cow steps out of line, you ride toward it, gently turning it back into the mass. Get back in there, mama. You pass the other night guard, a yellow shape in the dark, hunched over his saddle horn, water streaming from his hat. You nod. He nods. No words. You can't hear words over the wind anyway. You are partners in the wet. Then you see it. The phenomenon. St. Elmo's fire. The cowboys call it foxfire. It is the spirit of the storm made visible. It is a manifestation of the electrical charge in the air. A coronal discharge of plasma on pointed objects. Look at the tips of the cattle's horns. Tiny balls of blue-green fire are dancing on the tips of the longhorns. It looks like the herd is holding thousands of candles in the darkness. It is ghostly. It is beautiful. It is terrifying. It is silent fire that does not burn. The light is cold. It flickers like a gas flame, dancing and jumping from horn to horn. Look at your horse's ears. The tips of his ears are glowing with the same blue fire, little tufts of light flickering in the rain. He shakes his head, sending trails of blue light through the air, but the fire stays. Look at your own hand resting on the saddle horn. Sparks are jumping from your fingertips, small blue streamers of light reaching out to the wet leather. The air is buzzing. A physical vibration like a hive of bees is humming around your head. Z z z z z z z. You are riding through electricity. You are the lightning rod. You are inside the storm. You are part of the circuit connecting the earth to the sky. But you are not afraid. You are too fascinated to be afraid. You are witnessing the raw power of the atmosphere. It is a magic show put on by the sky for an audience of 2 men and 2,000 cows. The cattle are mesmerized by the lights too. They stand still, staring at each other's glowing horns, forgetting to run. The danger of the stampede passes. The electricity holds them spellbound in a cage of light. The rain pours down. It washes the dust from the air. It washes the smell of the ozone away. It washes the dust from your soul. There is something cleansing about a prairie storm. It is violent, but it is pure. It is water and light and sound, the basics of the universe rearranging themselves. Eventually, the center of the storm passes. The lightning moves off to the east, chasing the horizon. The thunder becomes a distant, muttering grumble. The rain softens to a steady, rhythmic drizzle. Tap, tap, tap. The air cools down. It smells of wet sagebrush's scent so strong and clean it makes you dizzy. It smells of petrichor, the oil released by the earth when rain hits dry soil, the smell of the desert drinking. It is the smell of life returning to the plains. Your shift is ending. You check your pocket watch by the light of a match, shielding it inside your slicker to keep it dry. It is midnight. The graveyard shift is over. You have survived the storm. You see a lantern swinging by the wagon, a yellow star in the wet darkness. The relief guard is coming out. He rides up to you, his horse splashing in the puddles. He looks miserable, hunching against the drizzle, rubbing sleep from his eyes. "Quiet?" he asks, his voice rough with sleep. "Quiet," you say. They're bedded down good. Storm spooked them, but they held. Foxfire everywhere. Put on a real show. Lit up the whole prairie. "Lucky you," he grumbles. "Get some sleep." You turn your horse toward the wagon. The ride back to camp is the best ride of the night. The work is done. The responsibility is passed on. The weight is lifted from your shoulders. You can see the glow of the coals under the wagon. The cook has kept the coffee pot warm in the ashes. You ride into the circle of light. It feels like coming home. You dismount. Your legs are stiff and cold. Your boots squelch in the mud. You unsaddle your horse. The wet leather is heavy, slippery, and smells of wet animal. You run your hand over his back. It is warm and dry where the saddle was. You rub him down with a handful of dry grass pulled from under the wagon, drying his neck and flanks. "Good boy," you whisper. You turn him loose into the remuda. He shakes himself, a full body shudder that sends water flying. Flap, flap, flap. You walk to the fire. You pour a cup of coffee. It is thick, bitter, and lukewarm, but it tastes like heaven. You stand by the coals, letting the heat seep into your damp pants, turning your back to the drizzle. Steam rises from your clothes. You smell like a wet dog, wet wool, and wood smoke. You look into the fire. The coals are pulsing red, protected by the overhang of the wagon. You are tired. A bone-deep tiredness that feels heavy and good. A tiredness that you earned. You unbutton your slicker. The stiff buttons fight you. It falls to the ground with a wet slap. It stands up by itself, stiff with oil and cold. You crawl under the wagon. This is the dry spot. The possum belly hangs low, filled with wood, but there is room for you. Your bedroll is there, waiting for you like a faithful friend. You unroll it. The canvas is damp on the outside, spattered with mud, but inside, the wool blankets are dry. You take off your boots. The leather is swollen with water. It takes effort to pull them off. Tug, grunt. Your socks are damp. You peel them off and hang them on the wagon spoke to dry. You slide into the blankets. The wool is scratchy, but it warms up instantly against your skin. It traps your body heat. You pull the sug in, the heavy quilt up to your chin. You pull the canvas tarp over your head to block out the wind and the damp. You are in a cave, a wool cave. Listen to the sound of the rain on the canvas tarp over your head. Patter, patter, patter. It is the most soothing sound in the world. It says, you are safe, you are dry, you can sleep. The storm is outside. The thunder is far away now. Just a lullaby. Rumble, ... rumble, ... The ground is hard, but you don't feel it. You just feel the support of the earth. You think about the cattle out there in the dark. They are sleeping now. The blue fire is gone. They are just wet shapes in the grass, steaming in the cool air. You think about the guard riding his circles, singing, humming. You are glad it is him and not you. You have done your part. You have stood the watch. You have faced the storm. You have held the line. Now you can rest. Let your mind drift back to the slicker. Imagine the texture of the oilskin. Slick, oily, tough. It repelled the water. It kept the storm out. It was a shield. Imagine your mind has a slicker, a protective coating against worries, a shield against stress. The worries fall like rain, splat, splat, but they just run off. They cannot penetrate the oilskin. They slide away into the mud, absorbed by the earth. You are dry inside. You are warm inside. You are untouched. Let the image of the lightning fade. The bright, blinding flash is gone. The after-image fades from your retina. Replace it with the soft orange glow of the embers under the coffee pot. A steady, pulsing light, breathing with the wind. Glow, fade, glow, fade. It is a slow pulse, the heartbeat of the fire. Match your breathing to the embers. In, glow. Out, fade. In, glow. Out, fade. The smell of the wet sagebrush drifts under the wagon, carried by the damp air. Breathe it in. It clears your head. It is the smell of cleanliness. It is a clean slate. The rain has washed the world new. Tomorrow the sun will shine. The grass will be green and shining. The dust will be gone for an hour or two, trapped by the mud. The trail will be fresh. The air will be crisp. But that is tomorrow. That is miles away. Right now, there is only the dark. The damp, cool, heavy dark. The wagon wheel is beside your head. You can reach out and touch the spokes. The hickory spokes are silent. The iron rim is cold and wet. It stands guard over you, a circle of protection. You are safe in the circle. You are safe on the earth. Let your muscles go loose. Unkink the tension in your shoulders. Let your jaw unclench. Let your tongue drop from the roof of your mouth. Let your hands open. You are not holding the reins anymore. You are not holding the rope. You are not holding the future. You are holding nothing. You are drifting. Drifting like the smoke from the fire, curling up into the rain. Drifting north, carried by the wind. Drifting into sleep. Sleep with the rain. Sleep with the grass. Sleep with the herd. Sleep. The river crossing, the railhead, and the final rest. The storm has passed. leaving the prairie washed clean and glistening under a new, bright sun. We have been on the trail for 3 months now, moving north from the brush country of Texas toward the infinite horizon. The grass has changed from the short buffalo grass of the south to the tall, waving bluestem of the Kansas plains. We are nearing the end of the journey, but there is one final, massive obstacle standing between us and the railhead. The river. It might be the Red River, the Cimarron, or the Arkansas, but to the cowboy, all rivers present the same challenge. It is a wide, brown ribbon of water cutting through the green land, swollen by the recent rains and moving with a heavy, muscular current. We stopped the herd on the south bank, letting them rest and drink in the shallows before the crossing. The cattle are thirsty. They wade into the mud, lowering their heads to the water. Slurp ... splash. You sit on your horse on the bank, watching the water swirl past driftwood and sandbars, gauging the speed of the flow. The river is loud. It makes a constant, rushing sound, a white noise that drowns out the wind. Rush, gurgle, rush. It smells different here. The air smells of wet clay, rotting willow leaves, and deep, cold silt. It is time to cross. You tighten your cinch one last time, pulling the leather strap until the horse groans, ensuring the saddle won't slip in the water. You take your boots off and tie them to your saddle horn to keep them dry, securing them with a leather thong. You are barefoot in the stirrups. The iron is cold and hard against the soles of your feet. The boss gives the signal. The point riders push the lead steers into the deep water, shouting and whistling. Get in there, hup, hup, get wet. The cattle hesitate, sniffing the water. Then they plunge in, splash, ... splash. The water rises up their legs, then to their bellies, and finally they lose their footing and surrender to buoyancy. They begin to swim. Have you ever seen a cow swim? It is a surprisingly graceful, almost unnatural sight. All you can see are their wet noses and their horns, holding high above the muddy water to keep the airway clear. 1,000 pairs of horns floating on the current like a drift of timber, moving silently downstream. It is silent. When cattle swim, they stop bawling. They focus entirely on breathing and paddling. You ride your horse into the water. He steps carefully in the mud, testing the bottom with his hooves, sinking into the soft clay. The water is cold. It rushes against your legs, soaking your pants instantly. Then the bottom drops away. The horse begins to swim. This is a feeling of total weightlessness. The horse's powerful driving muscles change from a gallop to a paddle. You can feel the power of the animal underneath you, churning the water, fighting the current with long rhythmic strokes. You slide out of the saddle to relieve the weight on his back, floating beside him, holding onto the pommel or his mane. You are one with the river. You are drifting downstream, but angling across toward the far bank. The current is strong. It pulls at your clothes, trying to drag you south, back to Texas. But you keep your eyes on the far bank. The green willow trees on the other side are your target. The water is cool and silty. It smells of mud and fish and distance. It tastes gritty if it splashes your face. It washes away the sweat of the trail. It washes away the dust of 3 states. You reach the shallows on the north side. The horse finds his footing on a gravel bar. He heaves himself up the muddy bank, water streaming from his flanks like a waterfall. Splash, grunt. He shakes himself, a massive, full-body shudder that sprays water everywhere. Flap, flap, flap. You pull your boots back on. The leather is dry. Your feet are cold. but they warm up quickly in the wool socks. You look back. The herd is a long, curved line of swimming heads, a living bridge connecting the two shores. They climb out, dripping and shiny. Their hides are washed clean for the first time in months. They look like new animals. Their coats gleam in the sun-red roan, black and white. We let them graze in the sun to dry off. The sun is warm. The steam rises from the cattle, a low mist hanging over the herd as they dry. Steam rises from your own clothes. You dry quickly in the dry Kansas air, the water evaporating into the blue sky. We are in the final stretch now. The civilized world is approaching. You can feel the change in the air. It is not just the landscape, it is the energy. We see the first fences, barbed wire, the devil's rope, straight lines cutting across the open prairie, dividing the infinite into squares. We see a farmhouse in the distance, smoke rising from a chimney, a windmill turning slowly in the breeze. And then we hear it, the sound of the future, a long, lonely whistle blowing across the plains. Hoo, 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 the train. We crest a low rise, and there it is. The town, Abilene, Dodge City, Wichita. It doesn't matter which one, they are all the same. A grid of wooden buildings dropped onto the flat earth. We see the stockyards, miles of wooden fences, a maze of corrals, a geometric puzzle of gates and chutes. This is the destination. This is where the trail ends. We push the herd toward the pens. The cattle seem to know it is over. They walk easier. The drag riders don't have to yell. We guide them into the wide gates of the stockyards, funneling the wide river of beef into a narrow chute. The gate swings shut behind the last steer clang. The sound of the heavy iron latch falling is the sound of freedom. The herd is no longer your responsibility. They belong to the buyer now. They belong to the railroad. You sit on your horse, looking at the empty prairie behind you. You feel light. A massive weight has been lifted from your shoulders. No more night watch. No more stampedes. No more river crossings. No more counting. You ride toward the livery stable. You dismount. You loosen the cinch for the last time. You pull the saddle off. It is heavy, 40 pounds of wood and leather, smelling of sweat and months of work. You heave it onto a saddle rack. Thump. You hand the horse to the stable boy. Give him some oats. Give him the best store you got. Rub him down good. You pat the horse on the neck, tangling your fingers in his mane one last time. Good job, partner. He nuzzles your pocket. He knows the work is done too. He sighs, a long exhale of relief. You walk out of the stable. You are walking on a wooden boardwalk. Thump, thump, thump. It feels strange to have wood under your feet instead of dirt. It is hard. It is hollow. It echoes. Your spurs ring against the wood. Jingle, jingle. You walk past the saloon. You hear the piano playing a tinny tune. You hear laughter. But you are not going there. Not yet. You are going to the most important place in town. The bathhouse. Usually located in the back of a barber shop, identified by the red and white pole. You walk in. The air is hot and humid. It smells of bay rum and lavender soap. It smells of clean towels and hot water. You pay the barber. 2 bits for a bath. He leads you to a small room in the back, separated by a velvet curtain. There is a large copper tub standing on claw feet. It is deep. It is polished until it shines. It looks like a throne. The barber brings buckets of steaming hot water from the stove in the corner. He pours them in. Splash, whoosh. The steam fills the room. It fogs up the mirror. It creates a private cloud. You undress. You pile your old clothes in the corner. The dusty pants. The sweat-stained shirt. The bandana stiff with dust. They are the skin of the trail. You shed them like a snake sheds its skin. You step into the tub. The water is hot, shockingly hot. It stings slightly, but in a good way. It turns your skin pink. You sink down. The water rises up to your chin. You let out a long breath. Ah, this is the first time you have been fully submerged in hot water in 90 days. The heat penetrates your muscles. It finds the ache in your lower back from the saddle. It finds the stiffness in your knees. It dissolves the tension. It melts the knots. You take the bar of soap. It is a block of white Castile soap. Smooth, heavy, and rectangular. You lather it up. The bubbles are white and soft, smelling of flowers. You scrub away the trail. You scrub away the Red River mud. You scrub away the Kansas dust. You scrub away the smell of the herd. You wash your hair. The water turns grey, then clear. You lean your head back against the rim of the copper tub. The metal is warm. You close your eyes. You listen to the sounds of the shop outside the curtain. The snip of scissors, snip, snip. The strop of the razor on lever, she-whack, she-whack. The murmur of quiet conversation about the price of beef and the weather. It is a civilized sound, a gentle, rhythmic sound of order. You stay in the water until it starts to cool, luxuriating in the silence. You stand up. You drip on the wooden floor. Drip, drip. You take a towel, a large, fluffy, white cotton towel. It is warm from the stove. You dry yourself. The fabric is rough and stimulating against your clean skin. You put on new clothes that you bought at the mercantile. A clean flannel shirt, soft and dry. It smells of new cotton, new denim pants, stiff, dark blue, but clean. Fresh wool socks that cushion your feet. You feel like a new man. You feel light. You feel soft. You walk out of the bathhouse. The sun is setting. The street is bathed in golden light, casting long shadows. You walk to the hotel, the Drover's Hotel, a 2-story wooden building with a balcony. You walk up the steps. You walk to the front desk. I need a room. A quiet one. In the back, the clerk hands you a key. It has a heavy brass tag that feels cool in your palm. You walk up the stairs. The carpet is red and plush. It muffles your footsteps. You open the door to your room. It is small. It is clean. It is quiet. There is wallpaper with small blue flowers. There is a washstand with a pitcher and bowl. There is a window looking out over the train tracks. And there is a bed, a real bed. Not a bedroll on the ground, not a pile of blankets under a wagon. A bed with a frame, a bed with springs, a bed with a mattress. You walk over to it. You press your hand down on the mattress. It sinks. It is stuffed with goose feathers. It is a cloud captured in ticking fabric. You sit on the edge. It bounces slightly. Creak. You take off your new boots. You line them up by the door. You lie down. You sink into the feathers. The mattress molds to your body. It supports every curve. There are sheets, clean, white linen sheets that have been boiled and ironed. They are cool against your skin, smooth, crisp. There is a pillow, a real feather pillow in a white case. You put your head down, your head sinks in. It is soft, so soft. You look at the ceiling. It is white plaster, no stars, no clouds, no rain, just a clean, white ceiling. It feels safe. It feels enclosed. You are protected from the wind, protected from the rain, protected from the stampede. You listen to the sounds of the town settling down for the night. Far away, you hear the train engine. It is idling in the yard, building up steam for the morning run. Listen to the rhythm of the steam pump chuff, chuff, chuff. It is a slow, mechanical heartbeat. It is the sound of the machine that will take the cattle east. You don't have to walk them anymore. The machine will do the work. Imagine the train cars sitting on the tracks, slatted wooden cars, filled with cattle. They are standing in the cars, chewing their cud, waiting. The train begins to move. Clack, clack. The couplings tighten. The heavy steel wheels turn on the steel rails. Click-a-clack, click-a. It is a hypnotic rhythm. Imagine you are on the train, rocking gently side to side, watching the prairie roll by in the moonlight through the window, the dark shape of the land, the silver ribbon of the river. The train whistle blows. Hoo, hoo. A lonely, comforting sound drifting into the night, fading into the distance. It says, I am going home. Back in the hotel room, you close your eyes. You think back over the trail. You replay the map in your mind. The starting point in Texas. The brush. The heat. The dust. The long line of the trail moving north through the Indian Territory. The Red River crossing. The swimming horses. The mud. The vast, open plains of Kansas. The sea of grass. The storms. And now, the end. The railhead. The line is finished. The circle is closed. You have done the job. You have delivered the herd. You have kept the watch. You feel a deep sense of satisfaction. A job well done. A journey completed. Now there is nothing left to do. No early wake-up call at 3:30 a.m. No coffee grinder waking you up. No night watch in the rain. You can sleep as long as you want. You can sleep until noon. The bed is warm. The blankets are heavy. You pull the quilt up to your shoulder. It is a patchwork quilt made of squares of colored fabric. It feels like home. Your breathing slows down, in, out. You let go of the tension in your legs. The riding muscles can relax. You let go of the tension in your hands. The roping muscles can relax. You let go of the tension in your eyes. The scanning muscles can relax. You don't have to scan the horizon for lost calves. There are 4 walls protecting you. There is a door. There is a lock. The brass key is on the table. You are safe. Let the rhythm of the phantom train carry you. Clickety, rolling east, rolling away from the work, rolling toward rest. Think about the soap again. The smell of the lavender soap lingering on your skin. It is a clean smell, a calm smell. It reminds you that you are clean. You are not dusty. You are not muddy. You are pure. Think about the water in the pitcher on the washstand. Still, clear, cool. It is not moving. It is resting in the ceramic jug. It is waiting for the morning. Be like the water in the pitcher, still, contained, at rest. Think about the boots, standing by the door, empty, silent. They have walked 1,000 miles, Now they are resting. Your feet are free. Wiggle your toes in the cool sheets. Feel the freedom. Feel the softness. The darkness in the room is total. Thick velvet curtains block out the streetlights and the moon. It is a soft, fuzzy darkness. It wraps around you. It holds you. You are drifting. Drifting not on a river, but on a cloud of feathers, floating above the town, floating above the stockyards, floating above the prairie. The world below you is sleeping. The cattle are sleeping in the pens, heads down. The horses are sleeping in the stalls, munching hay. The cowboys are sleeping in the hotel, dreaming of home. The train is sleeping on the tracks, steam hissing softly. Everything has stopped. The motion is over. The stillness has arrived. Accept the stillness. Drink it in. It is the reward. Sleep now. Sleep in the clean sheets. Sleep in the quiet room. Sleep at the end of the trail. Sleep